Okay, do it again. Hello, welcome to Bath-Spa University. Sorry, we've just done this already. Welcome to Bath-Spa University. We're here in England at this moment in time. We're in Somerset in England, which is a very beautiful part of the country. But Bath-Spa University has been here for over 10 years now, or nearly 10 years. And we are from the Department of Performing Arts. So I have with me three of my students from our BA acting programme. So in order, the girl is Jo, and the boy waving first is... That's Alex, okay. And the other boy, is Nick, okay. They're all third-year acting students, so, and I will be talking to them in a short while about the acting programme. But I should just give you an outline of the whole department. The Department of Performing Arts here at Bath-Spa University is very much focused on vocational training, be that for actors, dancers, or indeed theatre production people. So that would be stage managers, set designers, costume designers, sound and light designers. And in actual fact, we call those TP students, so theatre production students. So the TP students and the acting students work together quite a lot. And they've just done several productions recently. You've been doing the Devise piece. So you've been driving the theatre productions mad because you keep changing your minds.
Yep.
Which they can't cope with, which is great fun. But it's a great piece you've developed. And then you've just done Orpheus Descending, played by Tennessee Williams, which we assume you all know about. But they've had to do American accents. And then Nick has, he's assisting directing, because Nick's wanted to become a theatre director. More about that later. But so Nick has assisted this year on Winter's Tale by Shakespeare, and he's about to assist me on a production of The Beggar's Opera, which is a very famous English restoration musical theatre piece. So they all do various things. But a little bit more about the department. Drama is the other non-vocational programme, although there is a high practical content to it. And the drama programme is for those people who are interested in academic study, who want to look at what we call applied theatre. So using the ideas and theories behind drama to do social work, to do care, counselling, youth work, and so on and so forth. But also those people who wish to go into further research and further study. And what we find is sometimes the drama students here at Bath-Spa University decide that they want to be actors, and they go on to do postgraduate programmes and study acting or musical theatre. So the drama programme has all sorts of great things in it. Musical theatre is in there, comedy is in there, performance and media is in there, and Shakespeare, feminism, modern American drama, different kinds of applied drama, all kinds of modules, which we will eventually put a presentation up online which you can look at in more detail. The dance programme is about contemporary dance, and especially the way that contemporary dance interfaces with film and camera work. So we have students doing a lot of choreography work, which they then film, edit, and then re-choreograph the dance virtually on film. And then the theatre production programme I've already spoken to you about. The acting programme is, in a way, the flagship programme of the department. At this moment in time, I'm actually, as well as head of department, I'm also the subject leader for the acting programme, but as of Monday, I'm about to relinquish that job to somebody else. We've got a great new practitioner working with us this year called Ellie Nixon, who is a superb physical theatre, device theatre specialist, used to run her own theatre school in Chile, which she built in the mountains. She built a theatre school in the mountains in Chile. So it's a very international department. Probably ought to talk about the staff, so I'm going to put you on the spot now, folks. We have all sorts of staff from all around the world. So we have Dr. Pamela Karantonis, who's Australian, and she's a voice tutor. Make comments?
Loveliest person you'll ever meet.
Other than me, of course.
Obviously.
That's right. And then we have Dr. Terry Power, who is actually, as we speak, in California, researching her book about Shakespeare, which she's about to publish next year. Oh. So Dr. Terry Power is our Shakespeare specialist, and also, because she's an American, our American drama specialist. Talk to me about Dr. Terry Power.
She's incredible. She's made me not scared of Shakespeare.
Oh, that's
which
good.
is very good.
Yeah, what she doesn't know about Shakespeare is not worth knowing.
Well, or better still, what she's forgotten about Shakespeare is more what people remember. So Dr. Terry Power. We have Kerry Irvine, who is our production specialist. So she's managing your third year at the moment in time.
Indeed, yeah.
And she's beating you all into a frenzy of activity. So she's working with Nick as a director on Great Expectations. we have at the end of our third year an opportunity for the students to create their own work. So Nick has chosen to direct an adaptation of Great Expectations. Not you, but your friend Poppy is directing a musical theatre piece about Jungle Book, which is the Rudyard Kipling story, which will go on here in Bath at the Theatre Royal in what we call the Egg, which is a very, very prestigious children's theatre here in the UK. And then Alex, we don't know what you're going to be in yet, but you could be in films, because we will also be producing 6 films alongside the 3 plays that we'll be producing. All the films are directed by the students, and they are produced by the students, edited by the students, and they star the students as well, but they've got to audition for those yet. Whereas the plays are directed by the students. Nick is one, Poppy is the other, and we have Blythe Spirit, which is done by Lottie, who is a third-year student as well. And the acting students will all audition for those as well. So a lot of activity as we work towards their graduation at the end of the year. But probably it's best if we go right back to the very beginning of the acting programme and explain a little bit more about that. And you're nearly there, I'm sorry to say. No crying, not allowed, not on the screen. They're about to leave us. They've been with us for 3 years. And they are the first students to go through the BA acting programme. So in their first year, they were looking very much at how they become an actor. They were looking at their voice work. You've got to be very careful what you say, because I was your voice teacher in your first year. They look at their movement work, which they now do with Dr. Thomas Camper, who is a German movement specialist. So tell me about Thomas's work with you.
Lovely man.
Lovely man.
He's basically introduced us to, you know, how much you can do with your body to create and live the life of a character, you know, using physicality to, you know, give your character life, energy, animation, movement, which we never even considered before we came here.
You use your body in ways you didn't think you could, kind of thing.
Yeah, and as a guy who has often been criticised because being a slightly tall guy, being very stiff on stage, just before Orpheus Descending, the last play I was in, just before the performance, I did loads of his upper body release tension exercises, and I finally got the review that my shoulders were down, which was fantastic. So yeah,
Keep taking the tablets. Absolutely. Right, okay, good. So that's movement, which you did, a movement and voice. And this is all in a unit we call skills, which is, in English education terms, we talk about credits. We know you do in America as well, but the skills modules in the first and the second year are 40 credits, which actually is around 400 hours of teaching and learning. So most of that is spent in class with people like Thomas, with people like me, or with Pamela. But you also have comedy in there as well, so I suppose I should mention Pat Welsh, who is our comedy tutor here. Patrick, he's a boy Pat rather than a girl Pat. And Pat teaches you comedy. Now, Pat's worked with you in your first year, your second year, and now your third year. Have you worked with Pat yet for this final section of the third year?
I haven't.
All right, because you're about to do that in the next couple of weeks, aren't you? So Pat is teaching them stand-up comedy. So they're all going to be cracking jokes and being very funny, aren't you?
Fingers crossed.
Yeah.
Okay.
Hopefully.
So you've not done that yet, have you?
We did a small section at the beginning of third year,
Okay.
but in the first term haven't done a
yeah,
second
we
term.
and we did a small section at the last 5 weeks of last term as well, and now we're doing it again. So
And I'm on stage in 6 days.
It's because you've done yours, haven't you? Yeah, that's right. Because what we do in the third year, depending on what the productions are that they do their 2 sets of 5 weeks of skills training at different times of the year. So Nick's already finished his, whereas Joe and Alex are about to finish theirs. They're about to start their last 5 weeks of training. So Pat Welsh, tell us about Pat Welsh and tell us about comedy. You start with clowning, is it, in the first year?
You start with clowning, and you do just the red-nosed clown rather than full face paint clown, and it just gets you to sort of release yourself so you're not worried about your inhibitions, basically.
Great. And then in the second year you do Commedia dell'arte, so they're creating characters from stock characters, from Commedia dell'arte stock characters, and very ribald, I seem to recollect, and lots of rude jokes I seem to recollect from when I saw it, but it was great fun. So you all did that, didn't you?
yes.
Yeah.
You were captain, were you?
Il Capitano.
Yeah, so Nick got to play the sort of bold, courageous coward character, and you got to be?
Harlequino.
So Harlequino, so you were the, Alex was the servant, the wide boy servant, the one that was doing all the deals and pulling all the tricks, and you were?
A lover.
You were the lover, of course. What else could Joe be? So that was that. So that's comedy. And we also do singing in our skills teaching here as well, which is done by a great teacher called Joe Sercombe, who starts with
Do, like,
gospel and or choral work, and I think you're now inching towards musical theatre, aren't you? I need to point out that as an acting programme, we're not training musical theatre performers, but we do insist that our actors can all put a song across and can all interpret a song and interpret it well. So that would be skills in your first year, your second year, and your third year. But alongside that, we have context as well. This is, after all, an academic degree, and because it's an academic degree, we have to make sure that the students hit the same levels of every other student anywhere in the world. So we do expect an amount of research, we expect an amount of essay writing, and we expect a certain amount of really good creating arguments and coming up with great ideas. Now, as it happens, I think the SWOT of your year is sitting over your shoulder, Joe. And Alex is looking at Nick, which means it's got to be Nick, not Alex. You gave yourself away there, Alex. You could have got away with that one.
No, can't kid anyone.
No, terrible, isn't it? No, terrible. But actually, I think they'll all three tell you that the way that they've engaged with academic writing from year one, where we look at theatre history, but we're also looking at your research skills. We're looking at the way you construct a basic academic argument. That I think you did that in year one, and you did that with Andrew Cowie, don't you?
Yeah, he is an amazing teacher. I remember thinking, going from A-level, which we did before uni.
Sorry, we probably just explain. A-level, don't know quite the same in America, but A-level is the kind of result you get at the end of high school. So our version of high school is what we call sixth form or further education, but I think you call it high school. So, you were doing your A-levels when you were 17, yeah?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
So going from that type of essay to the essay at university, or if you call it college, then it was a bit of a jump. So Andrew just makes that jump a lot easier. He really does help a lot. Incredible guy.
I mean, as someone who struggles with essay, or used to struggle with essay writing myself, I found it impossible not to try hard just because Andrew's such a nice guy, and I'd feel guilty letting the man down.
We owe it to him.
Yeah.
We owe it to him a lot.
So basically what you're telling us, the students, the staff are all so nice, we charm you when we make you, you feel guilty if you don't. Is this what you're saying?
Just guilt trip the students.
Because he wants you to do so well that you want to do well.
Yeah.
So.
Right, they're great. Well, then in year two, Andrew still works with them because he can't let go of them. And,
Can't let go of him.
and we move into what we call critical theory. So this is a lot more about kind of university theories. So you do deconstruction, you do feminism, Marxism, queer theory, postmodernism, any other isms? You do lots of isms, don't you?
There are a lot.
Post-colonialism.
Anarchism.
Anarchism, in fact, lovely.
There's a lot of isms.
If it ends in ism, they study it. I think that's the basic rule of thumb. But actually, the key thing here is that as actors, they start to understand how arguments are created. Not arguments as in having a row with somebody or a shouting match with somebody, but arguments in the academic philosophical sense. Because the thing that I would always say to them, and they hear me say it a lot, is that when you stand on stage as an actor, you're not just saying the lines, you're expressing ideas, and you need to understand how those ideas are formed and how you make those ideas work. So that's one of the reasons why we have critical theory there in the second year. And then in your third year, that results in a 5,000-word extended essay. It's an individual independent writing project. So what we expect here in the UK of any good degree student is that they are capable of writing a sustained argument without being told what to write, without being supported, but can go away and research their subject. So let's now find out what subjects they're doing. So what subjects are you doing?
I am doing the differences in reception of youth theatres. For example, an area like Merthyr in South Wales, where it's not as high up on I'm trying to say the economic scale for various reasons compared to an area like Bath, and not only the difference in opportunity you'd get if you were from, for example, Merthyr instead of Bath, but also, just the very cultural reception of youth theatre and how it's different in an area like that to here.
So I suppose in a way to probably explain is that Merthyr is an area that's not as economically well off as Bath. Bath here, I mean, it's a beautiful city. I'm sure we'll talk about Bath a little bit later, but Bath is a very, very affluent, very rich city, and you know, lots of lovely houses and so on and so forth. So it's important we recognise here in the United Kingdom that theatre isn't just for the people who've got the money, but it's for the people who deserve to be entertained just as much. So that seems to be what you're studying, which is a great idea.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
everyone's entitled to that opportunity, or they
Absolutely.
should be, at least.
And this is your argument. That
That
you
is my
construct.
argument.
Brilliant. So what are you doing?
So I'm
Go on
looking
next.
at theatre and education. So I've just done a performance where we are planning to take it into schools at the end of this month. And I'm looking at the values of different types of theatre and education. So theatre and education that underpins the national curriculum. So that you could take in a piece that looks at, say, the Tudors, for example, and the values between that and what we have just done, which is aspiring kids to go on to further education and to not take education for granted. So just the different types.
So probably need to explain that the national curriculum here in the United Kingdom, all school children, and that is below the age of 16, they have to follow a certain prescribed curriculum set down by the British government. And obviously, a lot of times, and we have this a very strong thing here in the UK, is that we have what we call TIE, or theatre in education. So one of the ways in which we try to teach students is not just through standing up in a schoolroom and talking at them, a bit like we're doing with you, I'm afraid, but actually taking a piece of theatre in, getting the students to react to the piece of theatre, and then the conversations they start to have around the piece of theatre help them understand and learn. So that's something that, I mean, the piece, really should talk about the piece that you just created, because you've just created a piece of theatre about a girl called Malala. I don't know if you know about this girl over in America, but I suspect you do, because she actually spoke at the United Nations in New York. But Malala was a girl in Pakistan who was shot by some of the people managing and ruling her town where she lived, shot for daring to go to school. And so the piece that Jo and her team created, which was a really moving piece of theatre, very funny, very inventive, very fast-moving, really posed the question, how much do you value your education? Because, you know, you really need to value your education. But we know you know this, because otherwise you wouldn't be on here deciding whether to come to England or not. So there we go. And then Nick, what's your subject for your dissertation?
I'm debating whether it's the writer or the director that's more significant in the theatre. The idea, okay, so the writer, you know, creates the play, you know, brings the text to the table, but it's the director who kind of, you know, takes control of the production and interprets the text. So, you know, who's more important or who's more relevant in the production process.
Wow, and in 5,000 words.
I'm going to attempt it, yeah.
Well, you've got a gold medal. I have to say, I mean, that is a great debate to have. I mean, it's one of the big debates that's been going on in the theatre for years. Way back in ancient Greece, they were having that debate. So that's great. So, okay. So that's dissertations. We now probably should be talking about the hardcore of what we do here, which is the actor training part of it. So in your first year, somebody's just trying to pass me a message. Hang on a second. Oh.
We've got Hannah Jones online.
Okay.
She's actually applied for drama studies.
Oh,
she's
fabulous.
interested in acting more.
Okay.
So can you talk about the difference between drama studies and acting, and how much acting is involved in the drama studies course?
Right, okay. The very big difference is that drama is the academic program. So drama is the program that allows you to explore and study drama in all its different ways. So there's a lot more text study in drama, i.e. you read it like a play a week. There's a lot more by way of how drama works in various ways. So how you use drama to create theatre, film, television, how you use drama to devise theatre, but also how you use drama to work with alcohol awareness programs, or in education, or in developing counselling skills, so things like drama therapy. And that's what we tend to call applied theatre. The point about the drama students is some of them will, at the end of the programme, decide that they want to go on to become actors, but at the time they start the drama programme, they may not be sure. They may kind of want that good, solid academic degree behind them. Not that any of the degrees we offer here aren't good, solid academic degrees, but drama is a much more traditional, go to the library, read, write an essay, go into the class and have the practical experience. So the practical experience in drama is variable depending on the modules you choose and the projects you work on. Drama is very much about different projects done in different ways and different environments. So sometimes you may be working with the National Health Service and the police and the council here on an alcohol awareness program. At other times you might be working on a musical theatre piece. So this year I think they're about to do Company, the Stephen Sondheim musical. And then some other people might be studying Shakespeare or might be studying the ideas of feminism, and they might just be reading texts and studying and exploring that. So drama students are likely to go on to become researchers. They're likely to probably come on to be teachers. They may wish to go on to then do their postgraduate certificate of education to become a drama teacher or an English and drama teacher. And we also have within the university here that you can combine your subjects like drama or dance or English with other subjects. So you could do dance and music or dance and geography or drama and history or any combination, which is for those students who want a much wider, broader palette, that's what you would do. The difference, therefore, between drama and the combined programs is that when you get to acting, well, acting is very much a case of it being, sorry, I just lost the screen there. Acting is very much a vocational training program, much more hour intensive, and the focus is on developing your acting skills and, as I'm sure we'll explain in a short while, directing skills and writing skills as well. I think we already mentioned at the beginning of this broadcast that the third-year students I have with me here, they're about to go into a whole set of projects of directing films, producing films, writing films, acting in films, but also directing and acting in plays, which their fellow students on the theatre production programme will also be working with. They'll be designing the lights, the sound, the costumes and the set for, and stage managing them, production managing the performances. So the very clear difference is that drama is a much more academic programme. Acting, theatre production, dance are much more vocational and train you to be a dancer, an actor, a designer, a stage manager, and so on and so forth. I hope that helps, Hannah. If you've got any more questions, do ask us. So where was I? I was at acting, wasn't I? So, and this will probably also help you, Hannah, in terms of understanding again the difference. So if I map my way through the acting program now, what we have in the first year is very much a focus on developing acting process. So we follow the Stanislavski model, although we accept that Stanislavski died nearly 100 years ago now, that it's changed a lot since then. But alongside that, we also then teach you how to devise, how to improvise, which is a part we call composition class, which is really where they start to explore how you make theatre. You did that actually, because the way your year worked, you did that at the beginning of your second year, because we made a few changes to the programme after you'd done your first year. But that's about exploring how you make theatre, and that's something that underpins comedy classes. You're improvising there, movement classes, you're improvising as well, and you do that a lot throughout the sessions. But then we get to the second year, and what we try to do is identify the fact that many students who finish the first year of acting actually go, you know what, I don't want to be an actor anymore, I don't think I'm going to be a good actor, or I don't think acting is enough for me. And so some of them say, I want to become a writer, I want to write for actors, or I want to be a director. So Nick, he's decided he wants to be a director, and he's doing incredibly well. And what we've managed to do for him throughout the remainder of his 2 years here, his second year and now his third year, is get him to assist professional directors who come in to work on the different projects that we do here at the programme. So that means that Nick's getting a lot of experience of working with really good professional directors. Unfortunately, you've got to work with me next, which that's another matter.
No, looking forward to it.
Good. So am I, Nick. So am I. So in the second year, the projects start with a writing and directing block. There's also then a devised module in there, a project where you get a chance to create a more extended piece of devised theatre. We have a text block, and this year they've been studying a play by Alan Ayckbourn, who's the great living British playwright as opposed to the great dead British playwright. Alan Ayckbourn has now published more works than Shakespeare. And Alan Ayckbourn, he wrote a play called A Small Family Business, which our second years have just performed, and which you assisted on last year,
indeed, yeah.
the same module. And then the second years are about to go into a block of Tennessee Williams, because we recognise that American drama is one of the main influences on 20th century theatre and film and television. And then we also have, towards the end of the year, the end of the second year, we have a Shakespeare project, which all the students do. You did Shakespeare last year.
I directed a short film.
Did a short film instead, because I've forgotten to mention short film. So the Shakespeare project is something we make all the students do. And the point about Shakespeare is, hey, this is England, so we have to study Shakespeare. But our argument is it's the finest playwright in the world. I agree with Terry Power on that one, and as a result of which we try to make sure that every student knows how to grapple with Shakespeare. And Nick mentioned short film. So the other thing that you do in your second year is you have the opportunity to work on how you make a film. From writing the film, which will have taken a long burn over the first term and then comes to fruition in the second term of the second year. But then Nick directed it. Some of his other colleagues will have produced it. Somebody else will have edited it. They will all have explored how to do camera setups, how to do lighting, how to act for film, how to act for camera. You were in one of the films, is that right? No, you've made films afterwards, haven't you?
No, I was in
You
one.
were in one, that's right.
My sound man.
And you were sound man.
So,
And one of the things we make them do is we make them not be in their own films. So Alex was sound man on one film but acted in another film. So again, what we're always trying to make sure that our students do is understand what it's like from the other side. So if you direct a set of actors, as an actor, you then understand what it's like to be directed and what the director wants of you. If you write for actors, you do so understanding what it is the actor will do when they see the words on the page and how they will interpret them. Likewise, if you're a sound engineer on a film, you understand then when you act what you need to give the sound engineer. If you are mumbling, the sound engineer can't record it. It's not there, etc.
I've got to say, just to add on to that, I had absolutely no idea how hard the crew of the film worked until I did that film, and I will be forever polite and gracious to them because of that experience. So there we go.
It's an amazing thing. The last film I worked on, which was a couple of years ago now, we were out on the Derbyshire moors, so halfway up England, big, wild, rocky country, very flat, nowhere near like your Rocky Mountains over where you are in California. But just watching a film crew know where they all are, and there are various points in the process of making a film. So when the director's rehearsing the cast, then the technical crew will come in and watch. The cast will step out. The technical crew will do their bit. Then they'll move out. Then the set crew will move in, and it's like a ballet, just watching the way a good film crew works. And I know you were a good film crew because I saw the end product, which was excellent. Very impressed. And it's on the internet, so if we're very clever, we might be able to give you the link to it, so you'll be able to watch it.
It's on Vimeo.
It's Vimeo, okay, Vimeo, okay, fabulous, good. So that was the second year, and then really we get to the third year, which I think we've already mentioned the third year a couple of times, but the key thing to remember about the third year here is that we try to run it as though you are an actor in a very large production company. And we will be doing a whole series of things, whether you're devising pieces of theatre, whether you're appearing in plays, whether you're appearing in films. You're managed by our big promotional arm, our production company, which is called Bath Spa Live. And Bath Spa Live exists to promote the work not only of the students, but also the professional theatre companies, musicians, dancers, and so on and so forth, that we bring here into the university to perform in our various auditoria. So we've got a theatre here, which is what we're in at the moment. We have the Michael Tippett Centre, which is named after a very famous English composer, which is where we perform all our music venues. And in the city centre of Bath, we have a lovely place called Birdell's Yard, which is a big cavernous undercroft cellar kind of space underneath one of the big famous Bath terraces, big Georgian building, where they perform fabulous plays like Orpheus Descending, and their stand-up nights, and their jazz nights, and all sorts of things. Do we have any more questions? I think I've just seen another question from Joel. What are the range of courses you offer? Well, Joel, again, if you've just joined us, because I'll try and give you the answer now, we offer here in the Department of Performing Arts, here at Bath Spa University, drama, acting, dance, and theatre production. And what I would think I was saying to Hannah, who was on just before you, is that drama is the academic program. It's the more classic degree style program, whereas dance, theatre production, and acting are all vocational training. We train you to be dancers, actors, stage managers, technicians, so on and so forth. So if you've got more questions, do ask them, and we'll try to reply to them as soon as we can. Oh, you've got another question.
I wonder, Mark, if Hannah's very interested in changing her application now to acting.
There you go. Hannah, come and join us.
But I wondered if you could explain about the audition process for our students overseas.
Absolutely, overseas. Oddly enough, Joe and Alex and Nick today, the reason we're all here is because we just finished, it's about, 7:30 at night here in the UK?
Something like that, yeah.
We've just finished a full day, our last day of auditions for our UK resident students here. So we have got 1 or 2 places left. So if you want to come and get a place, come and take it. We might just manage 3 or 5, as it is.
Selected course.
Oh, it's a highly selected course. Well, it is. We are actually we have roughly for every person that will be here on the first day in September, October, we will have probably turned away about another 8 applicants. So it's a very, very competitive rate for this program. So, but we are aware that there are international students out there. We're aware you apply later, so we do keep some spaces on reserve for you. So how you would apply. What we would ask you to do is to send us either a video link to something like Vimeo or YouTube, or a DVD, but it needs to be in British format, so I think that's for us for PAL format, but it's best if you do it online. But send us 2 monologues, and I suggest that one monologue is written after 1970, and is relatively your playing range, your kind of character. So, for example, you might want to show us, if you're a 16-year-old girl, then you're going to show us a 16-year-old girl. And given that I'm assuming most of you are American, then obviously don't try and do it in a British accent. We'll teach you the British accent when you get here, but we want to hear you, because that is what we will be selling at the end of the program. And then you need to contrast that monologue with another monologue. And sometimes people do classical monologues like Shakespeare. We don't require you to do that, but some people want to. But what I would say is if you've done a tragic monologue in the first thing or a sad one, then give us something jolly and comic in the other one. But show us your versatility. And it really, really helps us if, when you film your monologue, you let us see you at full length, at least on one of them, so that we can see how you move and how you hold your body, and if you're tense in the shoulders and all those sorts of things. And it also helps if you make sure that you get some really good recording, so we hear what you can say. And what will then happen when that comes to us, I and my colleagues on the team, we go through the 2 video pieces that you show us, and if we think that you've got ability and talent from what we can see on those monologues, then what we will do is we will organise an interview with you by Skype or Google Hangout or Google Chat or something like that, and you then get a chance probably to talk to me or probably to one of the other members of staff, and we'll just talk you through the program. Also, what we will try and send you is additional information, so some of the open day packs we have, and indeed the PowerPoint that we've used today to explain all the programs to the students. But most of what we do on that PowerPoint we've just done talking here on the screen. So absolutely, send your stuff through to us. We'd love to hear from you. We'd love you to kind of tell us what you're doing out there and impress us. That's the trick to it, really. But we will get back to you. Any more questions?
No, but I think that you've been extremely helpful.
Okay.
Yes.
Well, thank you. It's a pleasure. We try. We absolutely do try. I said we talk a little... I love the way you just keep sticking your thumbs up there. I hope it is your thumbs you're sticking up. Okay. Right. Oh, hello. We have another question. Another question. Okay.
Heather again, where should she send the monologues, really?
She needs to send them through to the admissions office, and I'm now going to ask you to answer that one, because I don't know where the address is. But basically, just send us the email link if you've got them online on Vimeo or YouTube or something like that. Or if not, then you need to send them via the postal address to Bath Spa University. But I know that the person you can't see who's off the screen, which is Nancy, I know Nancy is going to be typing that up on the screen for you to read later. But I thought we ought to talk a little bit about Bath. Because one of the reasons why you might want to come and study in the UK as opposed to America is because, well, Bath is just a World Heritage City. It is an amazing place to be. There are very few places around the world that are World Heritage cities. Even Venice is not a World Heritage city, it just has World Heritage sites. But what's special about Bath is that it was built first by the Romans, and then it all fell down. And was built over. But then in the 18th century, so the 1700s, we had a period here in England called the Georgian period, because all the kings were rather unimaginatively called George, 1, 2, 3 and 4, and then we managed a 5 a bit later on. But what we call Georgian England, so it's the world that Jane Austen was brought up in. Jane Austen, we know, lived and wrote here in Bath for some time, but a lot of other very, very famous English playwrights as well. There's a famous play called The Rivals, which is by a man called Sheridan, and he set The Rivals here in Bath. But Bath is not just now a history site. We've in the Victorian era, we dug up the Roman baths, which is the bath that gave the city its name. So you can here now visit at Roman street level the baths that were built by the Romans, and they are huge and they're incredibly impressive. But Bath is not just about history. We've got great shopping here, but we're also very close to another big city here in the UK called Bristol, which is famous for its port town, famous for a man called Isambard Kingdom Brunel, who built the world's first stainless steel and wrought iron ships, and very famous bridges and tunnels and all that sort of thing. So I'm going to go over to you, because you're going to tell us about the nightlife. Because Bath's a quiet little town, it's a city, but hasn't got quite the nightlife that Bristol's got. Bristol's where it's kind of lots of fun had by all, but Bath's got its charms as well, hasn't it?
Yeah.
Great restaurants, if nothing else.
Yeah, I mean they do. I mean they do have the clubs. They're all underground. So
Yeah, we should explain underground in a good way. Underground in a good way. In the respect that Bath, because they have these huge, big Georgian 5-story houses, beautiful houses. I mean, some of the world's most famous architecture, but they're built on these really big, solid foundations. So they have these vast, cavernous underground caverns is the word for it, but they're all big semicircular caverns. So it's a little bit like being underneath Moscow, or it's not just any underground. But carry on saying I didn't know they got, because you've got moles, haven't you? But that's not really a club, is it?
go there regularly. More.
You go there regularly. Oh, there you go. Well, tell me more. I don't go out in Bath.
Moles is good. Moles is good. I like Moles. Yeah.
Yeah, you don't like Moles? And where else is a good place for? But then, do you also go to Bristol as well? Do you know? I never get the chance to ask them these questions. I'm going to find out. Do you go to Bristol as well?
No,
You don't.
It's too expensive to
Too
go.
expensive to
Yeah.
go.
We-
Yeah,
I
because
mean,
then you
shopping.
Yeah, shopping in Bristol. Okay, and you've got the cinema here in Bath as well.
Yeah,
Odeon's
Odeon.
fantastic.
Yeah,
Actually,
and great
I might-
shopping in Bath.
I might just say that's my favourite part of Bath is that there is a pub and a cinema in the same building. Now that is amazing.
Alex, I think we need to talk about your life and,
Yeah.
and raising your aspirations. No, actually, he's quite right. It's a nice cinema, and it is a good pub as well. Okay, yeah. We probably should explain the English concept of the pub to you. It means public house, and it's where alcohol is served. And of course, the age for alcohol in the UK is actually slightly lower than it is in America. So we probably shouldn't lure you down the path. But I suspect you all will do when they get here.
However, we are all 21 here.
Okay, yeah, you are all 21 this So what else should we know about Bath? I mean, it's lovely in the sun, in the summer, and very famous, of course, for, as I said earlier, the Roman baths. Very famous for lots of people being here. We have the Theatre Royal here, which is the second oldest theatre still existing in the United Kingdom. Obviously, lots of theatres tend to burn down a bit. It's in their history. When they were lit by gas, they tended to burn down. But Bristol and Bath, between them, are two of the oldest existing theatres in the United Kingdom. And of course, where theatres are concerned in the United Kingdom, well, we kind of do theatre better than anybody else, probably with the exception of the ancient Greeks. But they kind of stopped building them about 2,000 years ago, so we're a bit more up to date. But the other great thing about Bath is that you're not that far away from London. It's about an hour and a half away on the train, where there is the West End, where the world's greatest theatre is. And I think that's what everybody tells me. And believe me, I go to New York a lot, and I still think the world's greatest theatre is in London.
Thank you, Sir Nicholas.
Well, there you go. Well, actually, no. I mean, musical theatre is the best in America. It has to be said. We do musical theatre okay, but I have to say straight theatre, comedy, drama, we really do well here. But of course, therefore, if you can get to London, you can get to our National Theatre. You can also, not far from here, just again about an hour and a half on the train away, you can get to the Royal Shakespeare Company, world famous Royal Shakespeare Company. And you have, just a host of theatres around you. So plenty for people who like theatre to do. But Bath is also a city of festivals as well. So we have a writing festival, we have a music festival, we have a fringe festival, which is where lots of small theatre companies get together and perform in different rooms over pubs. See that word, pub again? But also they perform in unusual places, street theatre, so on and so forth. A little bit like summer stock over in America, but on a slightly smaller scale.
Yeah, we got involved a bit in the fringe, of course.
Did you?
Yeah, well, I mean,
Cock-a-hoop and all that sort of thing.
yeah,
Oh,
we,
yeah.
in the
Oh,
Shakespeare
yes,
Festival.
In the Bristol Shakespeare Festival.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh God, I forgot about that. Yeah, okay. So the Bristol Shakespeare Festival. So Bristol, which is across the way, very famous, again, world famous Shakespeare Festival. But they were all together in a company which was called Cock-a-hoop, which is a word or a phrase we stole from Shakespeare. It means something very, very happy and very joyful. And they did what can only be described as Shakespeare soap opera, Shakespeare fighting,
Did
wrestling
flash mob
match,
as well?
flash
Flash mob
mobs,
Shakespeare.
improvised Shakespeare, you name it, they did it. We are not quite sure they're sane, but the audiences
Terry.
love them.
It's Terry
That's
Power.
clever. Yes, Terry Power. You see, well, I was going to say a mad American, but actually a mad Englishman as well. So we're all clearly just as mad about Shakespeare as each other. Hello, you're looking at me again. This is Nancy. She's waving at me again off the screen. Hello, Nancy.
No, we're okay.
Okay.
I'm just wondering, we haven't got so much time. So
Okay.
I wanted to see if you guys could say what's your favourite things about the course, but also what's been the most challenging as well.
Okay.
Into the camera.
I'll move out of the way so you can get nearer. There you go.
Okay. I think
Shall I jump?
yeah, you can jump forward. I think the most challenging thing for me was probably when we first started the Shakespeare, because I had in my mindset how I just didn't like it. I was scared of it, didn't understand it, that was it. So when the option came to kind of choose it, I kind of made myself do it, because in the first year, Terry had said, you should always do the things you're scared of, and that kind of stuck with me. So I decided to choose Shakespeare, and she made me love it. And yeah, so I think that for me was the biggest challenge, was getting over that fear of something and forcing yourself to do it.
My go, right? Okay. I guess to me, it's a positive and a negative. Sorry, the screen's
The
just.
screen's gone.
Beg your pardon.
There we go. Right, cool. I clearly need to see myself when I speak. No, it's a positive and a negative. I mean, I suppose the most challenging thing for me was finding out all of these sort of faults that I had with my acting that I had no idea were there before. Like I said before that I was, very tense in the upper body. I couldn't follow thought lines through. If you don't know what that means, then you will if you do a course like this. But then the good thing about that is that whilst they haven't completely gone yet, they've now taught me things to make sure that I can get rid of them and I can improve, and it's given me a platform that I can only get better from, and that I think is the most positive thing. That it's not that you come here and they wave a magic wand and all your problems go away, but that they give you all that they can to improve. It's then up to you, and because it's up to you, you then become far more inventive within yourself, not just about acting, but about life in general. If that made no sense, I apologise, but I'm sure it will.
And for me, I would say probably one of the things I found most challenging was maybe working as part of a team, and I don't mean in being cooperative and that sort of thing, but having the confidence to be in a large group of people, be it actors or collaborators or whatever, and be able to sort of have the confidence to kind of speak up and put my ideas forward. But I think from all of the ensemble work that we've done, working with our peers, working with our teachers, and throughout these 3 years, certainly the first two, learning to be part of a group, to make sure that everyone has their say in the creation of the material, of the narrative. That's helped me to come leaps and bounds with just my interpersonal skills, my confidence, and just my general feelings as a person to engage with other people and work with my fellow artists. And I think so that's something which I found quite difficult to overcome, but I think with the help of our fellow students and also the staff, I was able to overcome that. So I think that was the big thing for me.
Good. Oh, am I coming back in there? Okay.
I
guess no. Yeah, sorry, no. You've got the front row.
Okay.
So then, effectively, what is there anything else we've been asked? Is there any more questions?
No, you're okay. We've still got some time though, so please feel free to.
Fabulous. Right.
Yeah.
Okay. Good. Well, this is great. So, so you've been saying what's the worst thing about the course then?
The fact we have to leave.
Oh,
I'm so sad.
that's a wonderful thing to say.
Yeah, we don't want to leave.
We don't want you to go.
But stay.
You can't, because we've not got
Can we
room
have a
for
fourth
you.
year?
Yeah, fourth year.
It's called an MA. You can do MAs here, by the way. Well, I should probably explain that. We also offer master's degrees. So obviously most of you need to get a bachelor's degree first, but we do offer a master's degree in theatre for young audiences, in dance, in performing Shakespeare as well. and we will probably be bringing more MAs on over the years. So, if you don't want to come here for the BA, you might want to come here for the MA at some point, because Bath is a great place to be.
It really is.
Lovely
It's
place.
absolutely
Fantastic.
beautiful here.
Yeah.
I think something that I don't know whether we
Sorry,
touched on.
that's Nancy asking questions. She's afraid to
I'm,
come out
I'm
as a
not an
ghost.
actor, so I'm a bit shy behind it. We're broadcasting here from the University Theatre, but I wondered if you wanted to talk about any more about the facilities at Bath Spa.
We can. I mean, we have on this campus we have 3 studios in this building as well as this theatre here. We then have a down studio. You can't see obviously, but somewhere over there's a down studio, and we also then have a small black box studio there. Also, we have an auditorium called the Michael Tippett Centre, which we mentioned earlier, which is another performance venue. And then in the city centre we have Birdell's Yard, which we've mentioned already in this presentation, but if you've just joined us, Birdell's Yard is our city centre venue where we do lots of performances, but we also teach and work there. And we are, you can't really see this at the moment, but here at the university we're about to open a brand new building, huge academic building. So in there we will have a state-of-the-art television studio, actually 2, a green screen studio, and a full state-of-the-art TV studio. So good that the BBC, which I'm sure you all know the BBC is the British Broadcasting Corporation, the BBC in Bristol are jealous of our TV studio because it's more state-of-the-art than theirs is. So we have a range of facilities, plus also lots of connections. So we connect with the Theatre Royal here in Bath, but also Salisbury Playhouse, which is what we call a repertory playhouse. So it's where they actually produce theatre as opposed to being a house which receives different productions on tour. So we have a partnership with Salisbury Playhouse. We're looking at developing another one with a theatre called the Pound Theatre, which is a very small arts centre, but it's important in the UK because it's one of the centres where the Arts Council of Great Britain, which is the funding body for arts in the United Kingdom, it's one of the places where it helps to develop new talent. And it's most important that people like Joe and Nick and Alex get developed when they leave. So I was going to ask you the other question, which is, okay, so you told us the worst thing, and you were very nice, and you said you don't want to leave, which is terribly sweet of you. But what is the best thing about the programme? And don't tell me the fact that you've got to leave.
I think it's going to have to be, for me, probably the knowledge of the staff, just because you feel like you're in safe hands. All the staff have worked in the industry and they know what they're doing, they know what they're talking about. So even if when you come to start with and you think, what, I don't agree with that, if you listen and actually try it out, it works, and you've got to trust them. And I'm so glad I did, because there is a change, and you can see the change in yourself and in your peers.
For me, I said it before, I'll say it again. It's made me much more inventive of my own future than I ever thought that I could be. It's given me the tools to create my own career rather than just waiting for things to happen. And I've never had that feeling before, and I like it. So, yeah.
And for me, I'd have to say it's the diversity of the course, because I came to this university thinking I want to be Jean Valjean. And quite early on in my first... Well, no,
Sorry, just remember this. You wanted to be in a prison breaking rocks.
To be in the musical of Les Mis.
Oh, you want to be... Sorry, just clarify.
But pretty much toward the end of my first year, I was thinking, okay, I'm not sure if I'm an actor. I don't know if I have the skills to kind of pursue that. But then when I came back in my second year, I got the chance to try out directing and found immediately, I love this. This is what I want to do. This is what I want to train and develop in. And this course gave me the opportunity to do that. Whereas in a drama school, I don't think that would have been the case. I might have had to have either left or gone through the rest of the 3 years and kind of come out of it thinking, okay, well, I've done the training, but is this what I'm going to do? And just been left hanging dry. So the fact that the course has allowed me to be something else than an actor is what really has saved my career, if you like,
Fabulous.
Or my prospects, if you like.
I think actually you make a good point there, Nick, which is about drama schools. Now, obviously in America, you might call them conservatoires. So like the Juilliard, for example, in New York, or any of the other conservatoires in America. In the United Kingdom, we have drama schools, and we are a university, not a drama school. But what we're offering is the same kind of vocational training that you get in a drama school, but with a slightly different focus. In the UK, drama schools tend to be much more focused on you train to be an actor, you get an agent, the agent gets you work, you go into the profession. But what we recognise, certainly in the UK, and I know this is true from friends I talk to in America as well, is that you cannot expect to earn your living just by acting. In the UK, it's something like 2% of equity, which is the actors' union here in the United Kingdom, as it is in America, of course. But the 2% of the membership of equity are in employment at any one given moment in time. It's a ridiculously low figure. And what we know is that most actors these days do not earn their living, their working living, by just acting alone. Very few of them do that. So most of them have to supplement their income in other ways. And we like to think that we can be a bit more creative than waiting tables at McDonald's. And trust me, we do that in England just as you do in America as well. But we do think that what we're trying to make our graduates here at the university do is have a much broader approach. So what I would say is go out and make the work. You know, go out and be creating a devised piece of theatre, or go out and try and get yourself a job as a director and put an idea forward, or be making a film like Alex has spoken about earlier. Create the work, because inevitably, if you don't, people won't know you're out there. And that's, I think, a very key feature of what we do here. So vocational drama school style training, but with all the things you would expect in terms of career development from any good university. And I think that's absolutely important that we say that. Top tips? Any top tips for students arriving here on the first time? Because obviously, you know, these folks over in America, they're not going to get the benefit of coming to see you for an open day. So any top tips you'd give them?
From my perspective, don't worry too much and don't beat yourself up too much if you don't understand it or don't get it as soon as you start.
Yeah.
That's what I would say to anyone.
Yeah.
I'd say throw yourself in. Do everything you can. Commit, and you'll do well.
Yeah, and just to say, you know, just jump in with all enthusiasm and efforts. Try out as many opportunities as you can, and you know, have fun. Because at the end of the day, what's the point if you don't? So,
Yeah.
you know.
Okay.
And so one last thing,
Go for it now.
be prepared to change, and that might sound cliche, and you might not know what I mean. But if you're not prepared to change, then you'll stay the same throughout the 3 years, and there'll be no point coming here. So, be prepared to change, I would say.
I think it makes great sense. I understand that. Do we have any final questions?
No final questions coming in. Marianne's just joined us right at the end.
Oh, hi, Marianne. Marianne, we're sorry.
Marianne, this is all. You can look at the whole presentation. So.
Oh yes, we should explain that. Yeah, you will be able to rerun the whole thing, because this will now stay online, so you can rerun the video and play it over and over again. Obviously, if you do that, then we seriously doubt your sanity. But you never know. I mean, you know, each their own. So then, really, I suppose it just remains for us to say so long and farewell. We hope you're having a great day over there in America. We've had a great day here in England, although it's been a bit wet. I think we've been getting the storms you've had.
Yeah.
And we don't always talk about the weather in England and it raining, but we do
Or
when
cup
it's
of tea.
particularly bad. Yes, and we're all now going to have a cup of tea. We're going to be very British about the whole thing. From me, I'm going to say goodbye, and I'm going to say goodbye and let the students do the goodbyes as well. So, goodbye from England, and we hope to see you soon.
Goodbye.
Bye.
Bye for now.
Bye.
Thanks, guys.
Still recording. Bye.
End presentation.
Still
You were
You know no one
brilliant.
knows how
You were
shots don't go.
brilliant.